guys, today I'm here with a very late review and 3/4 looks, 2 palettes with the Emily edits. These are Emily Noel and Makeup Revolution's recent collaboration. It is so exciting, and I know I'm coming to you late with this. She had actually, I mean, my soul left my body, but she messaged me on Instagram like 2 months ago and was like, hey, I'm coming out with something. What's your address? I want to send it to you. And I was like, I texted my friend Shell. I was like, I don't care if it's a tarred up pig, I'm going to review it. Like, I don't care. I love her so much. And if you've been watching my channel for any period of time, you know how much I look up to her in this current climate of the beauty community. People spend a lot of time focusing on the bad and talking about how bad things are, everything's so bad. But if you just look the other way to all the good, things seem a lot sunnier. And that is what her channel is. She's been on YouTube for over 10 years. She has incredible integrity, charisma. She truly is a beacon of light, if to not be too dramatic. And I think she does an incredible job not only reviewing products, but keeping people interested, making people feel welcome to her channel, making things accessible and relatable, and she is reliable, which are a lot of things we don't see around lately, and that is exactly what I modeled my channel after. So to have her reach out and her to want me to try her products is just so meaningful to me, and there's by no means like I was not required to review this. I actually had a lot of issues like because of Canada. I don't know, I didn't get my package, and then I reached out and I was like, hey, I'm going to Newfoundland, I didn't get the package, like I want to get my review up, and she was like, oh, don't worry about it, you don't even have to review it, I just want you to have it. So that's why I'm a little bit late, because it took a little while to get here, and then I wanted to, in typical Emily style, give it some time to truly test it out so that I could give you my opinions. That being said, I don't want you to think, oh, she's just gonna come on here and tell me to buy the palette because she loves Emily Noel. Emily wouldn't want that, and I don't want that. At the end of the day, even if I got on here and was like, you need to buy this, you don't need to buy anything that I talk about. You don't need to do anything that I say. So keep that in mind. She is someone that I look up to, but at the same time, I mean, you'll be able to see the proof is in the pudding. I'll show you 3 different looks with the wants palette, a look with the needs, and you can decide for yourself if it's something that you're interested in. I won't get into a ton of like her background and things like that, because she does an excellent job explaining that in her own video, and I'll have some places that it's available to be shipped from to Canada down below if you have yet to pick it up. But let's go ahead and get started. So very briefly, you have, let me start here with the Needs palette. These are on Ulta, they're on Makeup Revolution, and I've had good experiences shipping from both of those websites to Canada. They're also on Orabelle, which is a Canadian website. So the Emily Edit the Needs palette, this one retails for $15 on the Ulta website, and this is kind of like an all-in-one palette, so what she considers kind of her needs, which I think is so fun, because who doesn't want to create like a face and eye palette custom to themselves? So I was really curious to try this because she obviously has a much more fair skin tone than me, and we have similar color preferences, but when it comes to face products, obviously I'm going to go for something deeper and a lot of the time more golden than what she would go for. So I was really curious to try this because at a glance this wouldn't necessarily be the kind of thing that I was drawn to, but I of course wanted to give it a chance. So in here you're getting 6 eyeshadows and then 4 face powders, but keep in mind you can use the face powders as eyeshadows, and I did that today. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the look for this, and then I'll quickly chat about what I think. Decided to go all matte with this look, so starting with the blush, the shade Joy in the crease, and then I added some of Faith and Hope, the browns, in the outer corner, and on the lid I went with the kind of pink shade in Honesty. I feel like the Wants palette has stronger eyeshadows than the Needs in my opinion. Putting Gratitude on the inner corner and then back in with those browns in the outer corner. It might just be the shade selection on my skin tone. The other shades are just more flattering, but I definitely do prefer the Wants over the Needs, but I still was able to get a really pretty look, and I was surprised about that, like I said, with the lighter shades. So Courage actually acted as a really nice bronzer. I thought Joy was such a pretty blush. I love that blush shade. It's like a neutrally peachy. It's just perfect. And Gratitude actually ended up being quite a nice highlight. I wasn't expecting that because it looks quite fair, but it looked really nice and natural and glowy on the skin, which is all we can really ask for. as you can see, I was actually really surprised at how this palette even worked for me. I wasn't expecting these shades to not only be flattering, but work for me. Like, this is never the kind of shade of highlight I would reach for, but I actually really, really like it. The bronzer worked as well, and so did the blush. So very pleasantly surprised there, because I've talked about face palettes before, and when they come out in one shade collection, you can almost never please everybody. I think it's near impossible. So, and as for the eyeshadows, I thought that they worked really, really well. The shade, what shade was it that kind of surprised me? The shade Passion I really liked, which is kind of the deeper purple in there, which is never a shade, again, that I would reach for, but I thought that that was really, really gorgeous. I liked the selection of mattes that were in here as well. Overall, I find the mattes in these a little bit dry, but they're still pigmented and buildable, but it just, at a glance and kind of swatching them at first, I wasn't totally sure, but on my eyes, I was really happy with them and their buildable shades as well. The Peace and Love shades I really like, because they're not like a stark white, so they act as good like brow bone highlights on my skin tone. The shade Kindness is a little bit light for me to use under my eyes, but again, I could use that to set an eye look as well. But what really, really excites me about these launches is the Wants palette. For me, this is more of a needs than a wants. So in this palette, it is all eyeshadows, and the reason that I really like this is it kind of reminds me of the Urban Decay Born to Run. Not in the shade selection necessarily, not really at all, but in the fact that it has such a good mixture of shades that encourages me to want to try new looks. So I'm going to be showing you a green look, a purple look, and then kind of my more typical warm gold look, but I could have kept creating. And I think it's a lot of fun when you have a palette that's not backing you into like a red corner or a blue corner or a warm or a neutrals. I really like the ability to play around. In saying that, sometimes palettes can be too crowded. Like a lot of the Vice holiday palettes from Urban Decay were really like, oh, I don't know how to approach this. But the Born to Run really was like, oh, okay, for some reason, be it the layout, the shade selection, really had me excited to continue to play with it and try new shades that I would have never worn before. And same can be said for this. I just think there's a lot of really unique shades in here, but then you're also getting your basics too. And the way that they're laid out, the actual shade selection to me, I think is great. And overall, I've had a really, really good experience with this. If I had to pick two, it would, if I had to pick one of the two, it would 100% be this palette. They both come, the packaging is nice on both of them as well. Sometimes, like, I have fake nails on right now and I find it a little bit tough to open, but they do have a nice big mirror if you're traveling with it, and they're also compact, which is very, very nice too. So overall, really had a great experience with this palette. I can see myself continuing to use it, because sometimes, you know, new palettes come out and you get excited and you use it a few times and then you don't reach for it again. But I was like, I could keep creating looks with this, but I need to get my review up. So let me go ahead and hop into the looks. So this first shade that I'm using is Midwest. This is the kind of shade that I will reach for all the time in the crease and lower lash line. Then in the outer corner, going in with Dues Paid, which is very similar to Midwest, just a little bit deeper, putting that in the outer corner, and then deepening it all up with the shade Apartment, which is the deepest brown in the palette. On the lid, I use the shade Top Story, which is a beautiful gold. I put down a little bit more eyeshadow base to really make it pop, and then back in the corner there, outer corner with Apartment, and this is just a very typical look for me. I really love how this one came out. For this next look, I wanted to work with the purples, but I started off with the shade Prayer and then moved into a little bit of Cheer. And then on the outer corner, I wanted to deepen it up with Pi Phi, and did a lot of blending here just on the outer corner. I mean, I cut down these looks a lot so the video didn't get too long, but putting that in the outer corner to build up the purple, and then just kind of slowly building and continuously blending. Then on the outer corner, I'm putting a little bit more of Cheer and the shade Love Tons. And then through the crease, I put a little bit of Laugh Cry because I like that kind of peachiness. Had to use the shade Belle Violet because it's so different than anything that I normally use. And on the inner corner, I put the shade Cream. And this is a very different look than anything I generally wear, but I was so happy with it. And I just put more of those purples along the lower lash line. I just kind of mimic what I do on the crease in the lower lash line, and really liked this. Then lastly, I wanted to play with the greens. So I went in firstly with the shade Prayer, which is another great, easy transition shade. Starting off with Dark and Early in the outer corner. This is a very, very dark shade. The green tealiness doesn't totally pull through, but once I had the whole look completed, I thought it was a really nice complementary shade. Again, blending, blending, blending. It looks messy, but I promise it will come together. Corduroy is gorgeous. I love this shade. It's so beautiful. It's so unique. I don't think I own anything like it. A little bit of that on the lower lash line. On the lid, Side Hustle, which is just so pretty, and put that on the lower lash line too. I loved this look. I loved all my looks, but and then I put a little bit of Grateful on the inner corner, which was a bit of a risk because it's a light green, but I think it came out really, really pretty. As you can see, I feel like I was able to create a lot of variety, and there's still shades that I haven't even touched in this palette. I tried to kind of create 3 very different looks so that you could kind of see what you may potentially want to create, and I was really happy with all of them. I thought the performance was great. Like I said, the formulas don't necessarily swatch amazingly, but they actually perform very well on the eyes, which is, you know, what's the most important to me. I had good lasting power. I always wear an eyeshadow primer, so that doesn't really matter. They're blendable, they're buildable, they're pigmented. You don't need to do anything special to make them work, which is what I enjoy. So overall, I really, really love the Wants palette. That is definitely my favorite. I think it's super exciting. It's a great selection of shades, and I should have mentioned, but I love all the shade names in here too. They're very special to her, which I think is very special. So let me know down below if you have tried these palettes. Do you plan on trying them? What do you think of them? And if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at SamanthaJaneYT, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!